Just Stupid is the third book in the Just series by Andy Griffiths. It contains various silly short stories about things such as snail-shell repairing, baby Pram writing, and nonsense dreams. The book won a BILBY Award in the Younger Readers category in 2000. Andy is busting for the toilet in a shopping center. We follow him as he rushes around trying to find a bathroom. He almost wets his pant, however. The story culminates with a mall setting on fire, Andy using his Wii to put it out and then waking up to discover it was all a dream and that he has wet the bed. Andy attempts to be expelled from school so he does not have to attend anymore. However, his new teacher Mrs. Livingstone takes Andy's transgressions into a positive way so Andy cannot get into trouble. Andy tries to get revenge on Jen by being a boogeyman under her bed and trying to scare her when Jen and her boyfriend Craig are in the room. However, first Andy encounters a spider and swallows it. He gets up from under the bed and tells Jen to call 0-0-0, but Jen realizes he has been spying on them and decides not to let Andy out of the room to tell his parents. The story ends with Andy vomiting the still living spider up and terrifying both Jen and Craig. Andy's friend Danny pushes him around in a stroller disguised as a baby. However, when Danny lets go of the stroller, he cannot keep up and Andy is sent flying through the town. Eventually, he flies out of the carriage onto an unfinished bridge and ricochets off a trampoline in a person's backyard and dives into Mr. and Mrs. Bainbridge's house nude, which is Andy's dad's boss. The two are displeased, so they call Andy's father. The Griffiths and Danny are at a fancy restaurant and greet Natasha Teasdale, a famous actress. When Danny gives her flowers, he knocks over the candle and it connects with Natasha's hair, setting it on fire. Andy throws beer on her hair and, without realizing there was a fire on her hair, Natasha gets angry at Andy. To make matters worse, her boyfriend Dirk Gibson comes back from the washroom and sees the two by her. Dirk erupts and fights with the two of them. Surrounding people then throw things at Dirk, and other people throw food at them. Eventually, everyone is throwing food. Danny, Andy's dad, and Andy are still fighting Dirk, and in the middle of it, Natasha tells Dirk that she's leaving him. Dirk gives up out of frustration and Andy's parents find a different place to eat for the night. Mom is disappointed with them, and Dad. After stepping on a snail and breaking its shell, Andy uses things he finds around the park to rebuild the snail shell, while being attacked by a crazy blackbird and getting annoyed by a gardener. At the end, the gardener gets so annoyed at Andy that he starts strangling him, until the blackbird saves him by pecking the gardener in the head. Andy gets bumped by a homemade jack-in-the-box, and he loses his memory. Danny tries to save him by making his brain big again and he doesn't know who Mrs. G is and that is Andy's mom. He kind of remembers his name is called Andy. Then Danny loses his memory by getting hit by the homemade jack-in-the-box. Dad loses his memory as well. Andy acts like a child. He gets into trouble from Mr. Dobson by saying to Danny, "Cross this line and you're dead meat." He gets sent to Mrs. Baxter's class in the preps building and Andy gets an argument with a prep called Bradley. While at Lisa's, Andy's crushed birthday party, Andy and Danny play a game of Chubby Bubbies, where they see who can fit the most marshmallows in their mouth without swallowing or spewing. For her birthday, Andy gave Lisa a book about finding your perfect match through palm reading. While Andy and Danny are playing Chubby Bubbies, Lisa asks Andy if she can see his palm. After reading his palm, she confirms that he is her perfect match, and he must now kiss her. When Andy is just about to kiss her, he feels the urge to sneeze, with the marshmallow still in his mouth. He tries to fight the sneeze, but eventually loses to the sneeze and spews marshmallow paste on her cheek. After learning that he was playing Chubby Bubbies, Lisa criticizes him for being immature, and telling him how big of a mouth he has. However, she tells him that it's not as big as hers, and with that, she sticks a marshmallow in her mouth and says, "One Chubby Bubby."